What is up, everybody? It is starting to feel like there is a serious lack of justice in the United States of America. So much for equal under the law. It really does start to feel like after a while that some people are just equaler than others. There's a few things that I want to get into today that make me feel like justice is being buried alive. The first thing I want to talk about is all of these sex scandals, specifically Epstein and Diddy. Let's take a look at Trump's newest blunder here with his latest Truth Social post. He says the radical left Democrats have hit pay dirt again. Really? So now we're going to pawn this off on the Democrats. It went from let's release the files to the files aren't that interesting, now to this is a Democrat thing, that this is the left trying to hurt me again. Boo-hoo. Nice conspiracy, bro. Just like with the fake and fully discredited Steele dossier, the lying 51 intelligence agents, a laptop from hell, which the Dems swore had come from Russia. No, it came from Hunter Biden's bathroom. And even the Russia scam itself. A totally fake and made-up story used in order to hide crooked Hillary Clinton's big loss in the 2016 presidential election. These scams and hoaxes are all the Democrats are good at. It's all they have. So why were you and all of your appointed associates that are now in office telling the American people that you were going to get to the bottom of it? Why were you telling us that there were files, that there was video, that some big players were involved, that it was shocking? I'm really starting to think that this whole situation is being used by both sides of the political aisle in order to gain favor among their constituents. I think Donald Trump is now just trying to spin this as another reason to get into his camp and avoid these lying Democrats. Bullshit, man. I see right through this. There is way too much going back that tells me that you are covering something up. He continues to say they are no good at governing, no good at policy, and no good at picking winning candidates. Well, that's starting to sound a lot like yourself. This big beautiful bill really does seem to be some kind of a war funnel, in my opinion, taking away all kinds of tax credits that the American people have benefited from for years, cutting them all, and then simultaneously within the same bill, rerouting about that much money into the Department of Defense and Border Patrol. Now, he goes on to say, also, unlike Republicans, they stick together like glue. That's not the fucking point of politics. The point of politics is not to get into camps and tribes and throw sticks and rocks at each other until we're all dead. That's how your country loses. That's how your country ends up a third world country. This is not a cult. Everybody should be thinking for themselves, which is exactly what the people who were in your party are doing in coming to their realization that maybe you're hiding some Jeffrey Epstein shit. He continues, their new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax, and my past supporters have bought into this bullshit, hook, line, and sinker. You were the one telling us that there was all kinds of evidence. You and the people that you appointed. You guys are the ones that stirred this up. And yes, we know you did it because we were asking for it, but you still said it. And you were saying stuff about Epstein years and years prior to getting into the political sphere. He says they haven't learned their lesson and probably never will, even after being conned by the lunatic left for 8 long years. Really? So he doesn't think that people like us can see through the bullshit on the other side of the aisle either. The same people who are now buying into the Jeffrey Epstein bullshit, as he calls it, have also been buying into the lunatic left or whatever and their bullshit as well. It doesn't make any sense. If that were true, he wouldn't have been elected. There are so many people that are now looking at this Epstein thing and questioning Trump that if those same people had been buying into that bullshit for 8 years, he never would have been elected. That's how big this thing is getting. So many people are starting to look at this that if we had to have the election right now, I seriously wonder how it would go. I seriously doubt he would win. This is getting bad. He goes on to say, I have had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history. And all these people want to talk about, with strong prodding by the fake news and the success-starved Dems, is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success, because I don't want their support anymore. Isn't that great? So if you're buying into this bullshit, you are a weak person, and he doesn't want your support anymore. If you're even questioning this, if you're even pressing for answers, if you aren't satisfied with the information given thus far, and some of the hypocrisy and lack of follow-through, then you're a weakling and he doesn't want your support, I guess. Well, be careful what you wish for, because I'm not supporting you. ever again. Even if we do get something at this point, even if we do get some justice, do I really want someone in office who's going to talk down to me like this? And this is not happening in a vacuum. Remember, we also have the Diddy case. He was just acquitted of 3 of the 5 charges that they brought against him. The 3 big ones, basically, that would put him away for a very long time. The 2 remaining charges are basically a slap on the wrist. And it's just so funny that this minor event is echoing this larger one now, where we see the same thing happening. These people who have these videos or whatever evidence that they have are absolutely able to compel people at the highest levels to basically just let them off the hook. They don't have to pay for their crimes because the people who are supposed to be holding them accountable, or the people that are above those people, are basically just letting them free. Now, on to our next subject. We're talking about the sale of public land. We're being told that in order to get to our natural resources like oil and minerals, we have to sell off all kinds of public land, including national parks. And we know what's going to happen here. They're going to put all kinds of data centers and other corporate buildings, as well as custom housing for all these people with all kinds of money. This land is probably going to be sold to people like D.R. Horton to build a bunch of houses on, so they can con a bunch of people into buying these shit boxes that they call homes and scamming them out of their money so that they can make their 20% or whatever they make. Apparently, it's going to be over 3 million acres in this one go. That is a lot of land. This is the same kind of land that you use for all your outdoor recreations. Things like kayaking and hiking and hunting and having picnics. It's just slowly going away because there's not enough affordable stuff everywhere else. They need to go ahead and pave over this and knock everything down and go in there and just completely ruin it. And no doubt, we do need some amount of natural resources as we are becoming increasingly isolationist as a country, as people are increasingly asking, why are we so involved in foreign affairs? Well, one reason is that we buy a lot of stuff, like oil and minerals from other places. Now, if you ask me, it's becoming increasingly a bad deal for the American people to be involved in this. I'm sure the people at the top are making plenty of money through kickbacks and whatever loopholes they use to circumvent the law, but you can't tell me that we can't get in there and use some of our own resources, at least to the point where we can reestablish our rapport, our reputation with the rest of the world, and stop becoming the great Satan, and stop becoming the imperialistic empire that wants to take everything over, that wants other countries to be dependent on us. I'm sure some of these people at the top really want this land so that they can build their nice big house on it with all the money they stole from us and then never have to see us again. Ain't that a nice thought? On that note of building nice homes on public land that was now made private because you sold it, let's talk about home ownership. Another area where justice is being denied. It just seems like young people somehow, miraculously, coincidentally, are pulling every short straw. How are people supposed to want to do things like raise a family? How are people supposed to save for retirement when they don't own a home? When they're paying inflated rent prices along with inflated everything else like food and insurance and transportation. And it seems like absolutely nothing is being done to help reverse this. When I spend $15,000 to $20,000 a year on rent, and that composes about 2/3 of my income, and then another 25% of my income is taken away from me because I'm taxed to death. How am I ever supposed to get ahead? How am I ever supposed to make progress? How am I ever supposed to even think about having a family? If I had kids right now, I'd be screwed. I would be going so far into debt that I would never get out. And yet, you hear absolutely nothing about this from the people in charge. They don't give a shit. They literally could care less about us. And yet we're the people who are going to be running the retirement homes that they need, running the electrical power plants and water services that they need, driving all of the trucks all across America to get food to where they need it. And somehow we're just being left in the dust. We're being absolutely forgotten about. This is fucking bullshit. The one group of people in society that you should please more than anybody are the people providing value, people who are getting stuff done, the product creators, the product manufacturers, the service providers, the logistical perfusion system, the people who are creating the food, and the people who are moving it everywhere. But yet somehow, time and time again, these people are completely forgotten about. And I just cannot wait for Trump to start sending ICE into some of these farms and deporting the illegal migrant backbone of the agriculture world. Because you think food prices aren't bad now? Wait until he starts doing that. And you could have a naturalization process for those people that is better. I've heard very little about that, and that's probably a topic for another video. But I wouldn't put it past them at this point to just start going in there and removing those people. The ones that we actually really rely on for our food. It's time to push back on this bullshit. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really starting to get sick of it. I'm starting to get sick of providing for society and having society not provide for me. I think there's a lot of people out there that are starting to get really sick of everything that's going on, especially when things are so bad like they are economically. And then you see this Epstein shit going on, and you see all these rich assholes not being held accountable for their actions, like they're just above the law. Anyways, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. This is Constituent Zero signing off.